Hey, and welcome to Unlearning Stress, the podcast where we break the rules and cycles that keep you overcommitted, overstretched, and just plain exhausted, and replace them with something better. No fluff, no guilt, just real talk, real solutions, and expert insights to help you shift the way you live. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been with me for a while, you're in the right place. I'm Mischelle O'Neal, your resident emotional wellness coach, and I'm here to help you unlearn the patterns that are wearing you down so you can live with more ease, clarity, and control. Let's get to it. Good morning. Good morning. Well, is it morning? It's noon, really. It's lunchtime, and you're still at your desk, right? One hand on your mouse. I know it's you. The other's trying to eat. You're scrolling, you're reading, you're clicking through the emails that you didn't get to finish earlier instead of taking your break time. Maybe you're at home, standing at your counter, eating, feeding your face, right? While doing something else because you have to make that list for the next PTA meeting or whatever it is you have to do. Or maybe at work you decided, I'm going to just run across the street because I have to go to Walgreens to pick up whatever. And you never really stopped. Earpods in your ear, you're listening to me. And I am so grateful that you are, but you're not stopping. You're not taking that break that this is all about. We call it a break, but it's not. It's just a different kind of doing. And so you're listening to me right now, right? Because we know you're busy. But I bet you if I asked you what I just said, you couldn't tell me. You could give me a gist of what it was, but you really don't know everything I said. You're half listening, half eating, half resting, and half present. And don't get me wrong, we all do it. I do it all the time. It's still a bad thing, my bad habit that I do when I need to be present. We say we're taking time, right? But we're giving it to everything and everyone else instead of what we're supposed to be present with. And you're not you're not getting anything out of it because I know I don't because I'm only half there. And doing that, being half there, is why I miss out on so much. Why I have to go back or go back and watch something again. And in the middle of that, I have to rewind because I wasn't really listening and I wasn't really paying attention. Have you been there? Look, if you've been there, if this is you, if I am talking to you, and let me make sure I can see my chat. If I am talking to you, raise your hand right now because I can raise mine. That's me. I'm not perfect. None of us are. And we still fall back into those things. And so, one of the things I remember is my daughter used to call me out. And sometimes she does still now, but I don't do it that much anymore. But she used to call me out and say, she'd be talking to me and telling me about her day and all this stuff going on. And mm-hmm, really? Wow. And I'm still doing what I'm doing, whether it's cooking or fixing this or sewing this, whatever it is. And she finally, I hear this voice saying, Mom, you're not listening. Oh my gosh, she's right. Because if she would have asked me what she just said, I probably couldn't tell her. I could tell her a word here, a word there, but I wasn't listening. And even now, my husband and I do this thing because we're in the same office, in our home office, and we're doing our things on our computer, right? And then we just start talking to each other, and the other person isn't listening because we don't know we're talking to each other. We could be talking to the screen, we could be watching a Zoom, we could be on the phone talking to someone. And so we don't even know. So our thing is when we're talking to each other, We have to turn and face each other and make sure we get each other's attention because otherwise it's a waste of time. So, look, because we don't give people our full attention or they don't have our full attention, we're saying without words, really, and I hate to say this, but what I'm doing matters way most than anything that you have to say. And well, that's, I hate to say this, it's kind of disrespectful, even when it's unintentional. Even though you don't mean to be saying that, you are. You're saying, I don't respect you enough to give you my full attention. And we hate when people do that to us. When we're talking and someone's scanning the room or half listening, I'm gonna tell you that's one of my pet peeves because it makes me feel invisible. When you're in a conference or you go to an event and you go up to the person who just gave that speech or the person who put everything together and you just want to congratulate them and tell them just how much what they said impacted you, and the whole time you're talking to them you're watching them look around the room, scan the room, um, half listening because you know that's what's happening because you do it and you know what it looks like, right? And that's saying what you have to say right then is really not important and you feel invisible. But here's the thing, we're doing the same things to ourselves, to our God, to the people that we say matter the most, even though we don't realize it. That fragmented attention, because that's what it is, has become our normal. A nervous system overload. It's misfiring, it's jittery, it's stretched thin, and nothing good comes out of this. How many times have you been in the middle of saying something or in the middle of doing something and you like, what was I just doing? Because your mind is already moving to the next task. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, ugh, I did it again? I can't believe that I did that again. That half smile moment where you know you've been caught red handed by yourself. That's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just awareness. It means that you're catching yourself now, that you're not just moving through it. And awareness is where alignment starts. If you were right here with me right now and we were talking, do you know I'd put my hand on both of your shoulders and just say, stop, just stop it. Now breathe. Now think. What are you trying to do? Just think. What are you trying to do? Who are you actually giving this moment to? What are you actually giving this moment to? That right there, that pause. If you've got to feel my hands on your shoulder, that pause is the beginning of reordering what matters. And who doesn't want to reorder what matters based on what's going on in their life right now? If that's you, go ahead and say me in the comments because I think this is so important. So, if you're watching this on your break time, I'm honored. Let me say that off right up front. And I want you to stay here because I want us to talk about what alignment really looks like when you stop proving through being available and start showing up whole. And this break time live today, right here, is where we're going to reset what connection really means and what it looks like. So here's the thing, I'm going to be real with you. We don't wake up one morning and all of a sudden decide to live like this. We didn't get in this frenzied, scattered, fragmented way of living just by accident. And being available became our default because it was expected. It was trained into us. I remember saying this before. We were praised for helping, for stepping in, for being dependable. And we learned fast that dependability equals value. Society taught us that what a good woman looks like is helpful, self sacrificing, available. Is that you? At work, we got promoted by doing more than our share. At home, we were applauded for holding it all together because I can depend on you, right? We'd even hear, I love you for being there for me, right? And that's great. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but too much of anything can go haywire. It wasn't called conditioning back then, and maybe even not now. It was called character. You have such great character. We equate worth with what we give, just like we judge the value of clothes on how they look on us, not how it looks on the hanger. Are we going to keep it? We decide whether we're going to keep that piece of clothing when we go through our clothes every season by when we put it on and we look at how it looks on us. And if we gained or lost a few pounds and it doesn't sit right, the value of that piece of clothing has gone away. And that's how they look on us, as a tool by how well we work in their lives. That mindset runs deep. If I'm needed, I'm worthy because we've bought into it. We don't even question it because it feels so normal. But normal isn't the same as healthy. We've been trained to measure our value by what we do for others instead of who we are when we stop doing. Did you get that? And deep down, we know it. We don't need someone to point it out. We feel it even before, well, we feel it every time that we say, I can't do this anymore. How many times, let me know, how many times, go ahead and use the raise your hand emoji. How many times have, well, you said to yourself, I can't, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep doing this anymore. And the truth isn't, I can't. If we're 100% honest with ourselves, what the truth is, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to keep living like this anymore. This isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to be. And that right there, I don't want to, is where choice starts. That's the moment that you start challenging all that training, all that what do you would call it? All that stuff that you bought into before. And deep down, you know this. So it doesn't flip overnight. We didn't learn, we didn't get conditioned to do this overnight. It's been years and years and years. And so we wrestle with it. Every time that we come to this situation, that we have to deal with this situation, we do wrestle with it. We wrestle with the fact of saying, I can't or I don't want to do this anymore. So, what I want you to do is just set a small boundary to test the waters. Just something simple. And when you keep it, woohoo! That's a win. Then comes that awkward part. How many times have you set a boundary in the past? Kept it? You celebrated it. You were happy. And then that awkward part started. So, you know, I want you to do something different next time. I want you to do a physical no. Your body wants to step back into that old pattern, right? But you catch yourself. But this time, what I want you to do is I want you to say, no, 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 ain't gonna do it. But I want you to say it out loud. Just hearing yourself say no, that's progress. And you don't have to do all this alone. I don't do it alone. I have support. I have what I call my front row. And sometimes you need these people that you trust to help you check your thinking. Be wise about who's there, though. Who are you allowing in your front row? Not everybody gets access to you and your processes and your thought processes. And for me, sometimes it's my husband. My husband has such an amazing logical way of thinking through things. And then when I want to talk about faith based things, oh, he is the person to go to. I even tell my grandchildren when they ask me questions, I'm like, you can ask me and I'm going to answer it. But the one that you really want to talk to is Papa. And the thing is, he is like so grounded that I love to run things by him. And then sometimes I ask my girlfriend because they're for the emotional side. He doesn't want to get into all that emotion stuff. But my girlfriend, all I got to do is say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling. Am I overfeeling it? And am I giving too much to it? But the thing is, know who you can go to, know who you can talk to. Because you can't tell just anybody anything or everything about your life. And the thing is, alignment doesn't mean you're available to everyone. It means you're available to the right ones, including yourself. That's where connection, real connection, starts to feel real again, not forced, not performed, but clean and true because you're present, you're being honest, and you're honoring yourself as well as others. But before we reorder anything, even though I said we were, before we reorder anything, we have to be honest about what this pattern has already cost us. Because if you don't see that, you don't think it's important enough. And that's what I want to talk about now. Once you start seeing that and you realize that you started building your life around being available, the next question is like I asked, what's it costing you? What is the cost to your everyday life, to yourself? Because misalignment doesn't just make you tired, it starts breaking down how you relate to people. And a lot of times we don't even realize it. You might not even notice it at first, but it shows up strongest in your relationships. One day you realize that the conversation feels, well, shorter. You don't have time for that. You don't want to deal with that right now. Or you're on edge and your remarks or your comments back to them are sharper, more irritated, more frustrated, or maybe even you feel emptier, like you really can't connect to anyone anymore because I really don't have much to say or much to talk about because I'm so caught up in doing and being for everyone else that I really don't have a life to talk about. You're managing people, deciding what to say, how to react, how to smooth it over just to get through. And that's survival, not connection. Does this sound like you? If this sounds like you, go ahead and, if you're bold, put a sad face in the comments. Most of us won't say it, but what we're really doing is a sense of manipulation, not the ugly kind, but the human kind. We shape the moment so that we can stay comfortable, so no one gets upset, so we don't have to face what's really off, not quite right. We've been doing it so long that we don't even hear it even more anymore. We don't even realize that that's what we're doing. But if you have to manage people to keep peace, then what kind of peace is that? Ask yourself, what would happen if I stopped? If I let people react however they really feel? I'm not responsible for their actions. I'm responsible for mine. Would the relationship move, grow, or die if you allowed that to happen? That's the real test of alignment, because some connections only survive when you're out of integrity. But what happens when you're in integrity of who you are? Are they willing to accept that part of you? And if they don't, is that a relationship that you really want to stay connected in? That's why you have to reassess your relationships from time to time, at least once a year, because we make new connections all the time. So ask yourself, do we still have anything in common? Or are we just here because it's familiar and it's what we do and you've always been there? Or you're who I turn to for this, but this isn't happening in my life that much anymore. Am I staying because it's healthy? Is this person healthy for me? How do I feel after I leave their space? Or am I staying because I'm afraid of what will happen if I walk away? Those are hard questions, real hard questions. And you know what? They take courage. But if nothing else, I know you have courage. The most integral thing that you can do is to be honest with yourself first. Most of us can't handle pure honesty. We fight it when someone calls us out. Ouch, that hurts. Integrity is what you do when nothing's required and when no one's looking. That's the alignment that we're talking about. Living the same truth privately as you do publicly. And how many of us can stand here and raise our hand and say, yes, all the time, 100% all the time, what I do publicly is the same thing and the same way I feel privately. When you finally see it, you may not like it. And you may not like the answers that you gave to some of those questions. And you may not even like how you handled a specific instance. But you're human, just like me. You can always change that the next time. Because you know what? That's growth. And growth, that's where the quiet, amazing power comes in. You start to feel this sense of pride, not because everything's fixed. That's not your job. But because you can see the change in you and yourself changing, becoming more of who you know you are or who you're striving to become. And that's when you realize that alignment isn't just about you. No, it's actually something that you can pass on to your family, to those who are around you, to those that get to know you. You've become someone who moves through the world differently. That's who you become. And the people around you feel it. I can think of particular women that are in my circle right now that I see the difference in how they're moving now because they're walking in the alignment of who they are privately and publicly. And it has made a phenomenal shift in the way they move and interact and connect with others. So the question now is, if we've been so out of alignment, how do we reorder back to that, what matters? Once you start seeing what misalignment looks like and what it's been costing you, the next step is to reorder those things that matter. And this is where things start to settle and you start becoming more of what I've just shared with you that I've seen in others. Not because everything slows down, but because nothing feels forced anymore. Alignment isn't about balance or getting everything perfect. It's about flow. When what you say, what you do, and what you believe are all moving in the same direction, right? You know that you're in alignment when noticing doesn't feel forced, when absolutely nothing feels forced. You're not making it happen. You're not fixing it. You're not pushing life uphill anymore. You're operating with the intention instead of reaction. You're being very focused on what your intent is. And it doesn't mean that your day is empty. Everything's not going to float away. There's still going to be the things to do, the things that need to be taken care of. You can be busy. Get this. You can be busy, but your busyness can be intentional. And that's a whole different feel. There's a rhythm. It's not frantic, not scattered. Things get done cleaner, quieter, and with fewer mistakes because there's intention and there's focus on the things that matter. You stop rushing and you start moving right in flow, in rhythm, in alignment. And alignment shows up in how you handle your demands. You stop rescuing everyone from their own chaos. When someone brings you a last minute fire, say at work, say it's your boss, right? You don't just jump in. You start asking questions like, especially if you're boss. And when something's last minute, you say, you have me working on these things right now. And I just want to clarify which of these should move to make room for what you're talking about needs to be done right now. I just I don't want to let anything fall. And so you know what's more important for you. So which one do I need to move aside so I can get this done? No disrespect. You're just asking them to tell you the order that you want things to be done in because you can't do all of it. And in order for you to take on that new task, something has to be moved aside. And because they've given you the task, It's their responsibility to tell you what moves aside. You're not defiant, you're responsible. You're being responsible in the job and the task that you've been given to do. And you hold others to that same responsibility. If you need something from them, say someone asks you to do a task for them, but in order for you to do that task or do that thing, you need something from them to do it correctly, then you wait until they deliver that to you because you're completing that task is on them doing their part, not you stepping in and doing it for them. Because what are you teaching them and what are they learning? Now, at first, excuse me, people won't like it. They're used they're used to you fixing everything and taking care of everything and fixing it all, right? But the more you practice this, the more you do this, the stronger you get at knowing what's yours and what's not. And that's the internal shift that happens, that discernment. You start seeing clearly what belongs to you and what never did, what you took on that wasn't even yours to handle because you could do it faster, easier, quicker, plainer, whatever, clearer, whatever verb you want to put on it, whatever descriptive word you want to put on it. But the part that most people miss when you start requiring ownership from others, you have to require it from yourself as well. So if you've done something, own up to it. My bad. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. Alignment isn't just about outward boundaries, it's inward accountability. You start admitting where you've dropped the ball or held on to something that wasn't yours. It's not easy, but it's how integrity gets rebuilt. Once you start living like this, that fog lifts. You start seeing who people really are, and they start seeing you. Some relationships actually deepen through this process as you walk through it. Some drift, and some they fall away completely. And you know what? That's okay. Your circle begins to match your truth. You're surrounded by the people who are best for you and who you're best for. Wouldn't that be an amazing room to show up in? Hey, if that's the type of room that you want to show up in, go ahead and tell me. And when that happens, you'll know it because what it feels like is home, not a place, not a state, settled, steady, chosen. You finally recognize yourself in all of this again. So now that we've named what alignment looks like, right? Let's put in into something that you can actually practice, and not a theory, but something that you can use today. So I call this real life boundary test. And I want you to pick something low risk, no drama, no high stakes, something simple. Take the trash out, whatever. It could be a work request. It could be, can you send me an email to tell me what we talked about or what you just told me so that I have something to reflect back on? Or a household chore, like I said, the trash, or a friend who expects a instant reply every time they reply to you and you don't reply. You reply when you can get to it. You don't stop whatever you were in the middle of and do it. You say, I'll get them on my next break. Instead of jumping in, what I'm asking you to do is to pause. Ask yourself a few quick questions, just real quick, long enough for you to think about it. Where does this fall in my list of priorities? Simple. Where does this fall in my list of priorities? If I take this on, what moves? What moves down that list? And who actually owns this task or this thing? Me or them? Is it mine to even worry about? You're not refusing to help, not at all. You're handing ownership back where it belongs, especially if it's not yours. But if it's yours, you're taking accountability for it. You might say, here's what I already have on my plate. What should shift? This is what I have that I need to do today. What of these tasks, these things that I wanted to do, can move to tomorrow? Once once you realize that, you can move forward, right? So at home, like I said, it could be, can you take the trash out tonight and then let it go? Don't worry about it. Don't even do it if they didn't do it. You gave that ownership to them. And at work, it can be as simple as, I'll help where I can, but I can't drop what I'm doing now. So they understand where they fit in your priorities. And then watch what happens next. And I want to know. Notice that the world doesn't fall apart. The task gets done, or it doesn't. But either way, life goes on, right? You didn't have to fix it, save it, or carry it, or do it. And that is ownership in motion. Now, pay attention. Here's one final thing I want you to do. I want you to pay attention to your body. You'll feel the tension first when that text comes on your phone or someone asks you to do. First thing happen, your shoulders get tight or your breathing kind of shortens. But when you answer with that boundary and nothing explodes, notice that release in your body. It's like, oh, hmm. The shoulders drop, the breath evens out. It's that sense of relief. That's alignment speaking through your body and connecting with your nervous system. I want you to get familiar with that feeling. And I'm sure, like me, as I talked through it, you felt it. That is your new compass. That's what you're looking for. And ask yourself, what else could I do this with? What other small yeses can I turn into thoughtful pauses? Each time you do that, that relief becomes easier to find. Letting go is the most powerful action that you can take towards your alignment because every time you release what isn't yours, you have the ability to reclaim what is. So if alignment is found in release, how do we carry that forward into our everyday living? How do we make sure it shows up so that it doesn't fade once this break time live ends? Now that you know what it feels like, here's what we can do. Now that we've tested this in real life and you've seen what alignment can feel like, don't chase it, just notice it. It isn't a moment, it's a rhythm that you live by. It's like a dance. It's like a new, what I like doing it all the time, line dance. And once you find the move and where you turn this way and when you do this, once you get it, oh, it's on. And then every time that song comes up, you get back in that rhythm. And even though you may forget the steps for the first 2 seconds, a couple of seconds, as soon as you see it again and you start moving your body that way, all of a sudden it comes right back to you. This week, I want you to catch yourself in real time. The next time you feel that old reflex and you're about to jump in, about to say yes, pause. Remember the new rhythm, that new dance. Ask yourself, is this mine? Hmm. And if not, hand it back. That's how you start building that muscle. That's how alignment becomes your default. And when you do catch yourself, don't beat yourself up. Hey, you caught it. Smile and say, you didn't get me this time. With a smile. It's nothing to be sad or discouraged about because you noticed it. That's awareness and that's growth talking. It's the sound of someone finally walking in her own truth. Alignment is the space of no more continuing, the end of pretending, performing, and pushing. It's one of the most satisfying places that you'll ever sit in as an individual. It's the power that doesn't need to be proved. And it's walking in your truth, clear, calm, and collected. So this week, I want you to stay with that rhythm. Learn the line dance of alignment. Keep building around that feeling of relief, that release in your shoulders, that calm in your mind. Whatever it felt like for you, keep living in that. Because every time you lived from that space, you reinforce the truth. Alignment is not found, it's chosen. I want you to keep walking in your truth, steady, aligned, and powerful. And look, if this really hit you, sat with you, spoke to you, then I want you to join me most Thursdays at noon for your break time where we can talk together and share because that's where we'll pick up next week. Until next time, I'm Mischelle O'Neal and you're on Break Time Live. Take care. Bye bye. If this episode hits home, don't just push it aside. Lean into it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And connect with me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, where we go even deeper. Links will be in the comments. And if you're ready to start unlearning the patterns that keep you stuck, keep listening because real change happens one choice at a time. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.